So welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. And before we actually dive in and get to know each other, I would love to invite everyone to an attunement so that we can all settle and arrive. And welcome Talea Tain, who will lead us through.
Oh, thank you, Kim. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
A tēnā rā koutou katoa, ngā hui hui mai, I te kaupapa whakahirahira I tēnei wā. Nā reira, aku rangitira, tēnei te mihi, mai oha, tēnei te mihi mahana, tēnei te mihi manaki kia tātou katoa. So I speak in my language, and my name is Thalia Tane. I come from Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I'd like to acknowledge all of you, all of our ancestors, and the space and this place that we find ourselves in tonight. And during this time, I'd like to also invite you all to bring your mauri, your essence, the essence of your ancestors, the essence of your philosophies, to create the regenerative communities that we wish that Te Ao, this world, brings in the future and beyond. I'd also like to acknowledge my kuia, Robina McCurdy, my mentor that is here tonight. It's always a pleasure to see you, e te whaia, in this space, in this place that we find ourselves in. So I speak in a language that is te reo rangatira, or the Māori language of Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I bring an Indigenous way of attuning into what we're about to create in this space right now. So as we close our eyes, I'd like to ask us to breathe in for 4, and as we say in Aotearoa, ha ki roto, breathing in, ha ki waho, breathing out. We're settling ourselves into the space in this place. We're settling our minds and our intention to connect. We're settling our bodies to be a part of this discussion. We're settling ourselves into connecting with each other. And as we do that, we breathe in, ha ki roto, and we're breathing out, ha ki waho. Ha ki roto, ha ki waho. And as we're closing our eyes, I'm going to start us off by acknowledging the earth, the seas, the skies, and everything in between, including us. This is a proverbial waiata that has been taught to me by one of my mentors here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I te whaia bini te tahuri, and it's about acknowledging our ancestors, all of our ancestors tonight, and connecting our ancestors and honouring all things in the universe and the cosmos. Tuia ki te rangi, tuia ki te whenua, tuia ki te moana, E rongo I te po, I te ao, I te ao, I te po nei e. It is written in the heavens and on the lands and in the seas, and reflected in the division between night and day. All things in nature and the cosmos and the universe reflects everything. The entire makeup of this world, including us. When we are in tune or attuned with our environment, with Papatuanuku, Mother Earth, Pachamama, Gaia Mother, Rangi Nui, Sky Father, me ngā tamariki whakahirahira, and everything in between, including us, we are in tune with ourselves, and we find that we can provide the answers to everything we need in this life. So this proverbial song from our ancestors, kei roto I te ao Māori, and the worldview of the Māori, the indigenous nation of Aotearoa, New Zealand. This is a waiata. This is a coming together and attunement that encompasses all things. All things. Nā reira aku rangatira e ngā hau e whā, ngā kaimahi, ngā kaiara, hi kaitiaki o te ao. What I am presenting to you today is an attunement where we can be as one in the spirit, in connection with our Gaia Mama, Papatuanuku, our Sky Father, including ourselves in this space, right here, right now, as kaimahi, as change makers, as the people that we are, that want to regenerate our nations across te ao. Tihe wa mauri ora. And this indeed is something that we want together in this world. And so I thank you all. I ask you to open your eyes and know that our ancestors stand with us, and know that we are connected as one to create this continued discussion, dialogue, and spirit that we present tonight. Thank you.
Lovely to get to know a little bit more about all of you. And as we journey forward, we'll just go back a few years to understand a little bit more about GEN International and its restructuring process, which has really got us here today. So just to let you also know a little bit about me, I joined GEN in 2018 after I attended a TOT, the training of trainers in Oroville. And what I got to know about GEN from there was that GEN International was this organization that supported networks for regeneration. And the main person that was really, you know, in the path of developing GEN was Kosha Jorbert, the executive director then. And that GEN was funded mostly by Gaia Trust. And Gaia Trust was founded by Ross Jackson and Hilda Jackson. So that was my knowledge base in 2018. And as I worked more with GEN International, it seemed a very timely entry into GEN International, because it's then in 2018 that GEN started to, I think, have an inward journey and began to reflect on everything that had happened in its course of time. So in 2018, there was the staff and the trustees and all the regions of GEN felt that there is a need for an inner change, and they need to reflect on their values, their culture, ways of working, direction, priorities of the organization, and especially its relationship to the network. Because what it really was earlier, it seemed like GEN International was the center of everything. And the regions, though, co-created this global network, but they did not have too much local leadership then. So in 2019, beginning from that inner reflections, the trustees called upon all the regions into a conversation of change. And this was really to improve the congruence between GEN values and GEN actions, and also to foster deeper creativity, more participation, decentralized collaboration, and forge through a community-led change. And the big fundamental idea was really co-creation and co-ownership of GEN within the network and membership, prioritizing local leadership in accomplishing GEN's mission. So from 2018, in 2020, when we found ourselves in the midst of COVID, is when the restructuring process really began. And a proposal was made by the restructuring team. And this proposal document is available for those who want to study it. It's very, very detailed, and we'll be happy to share it with you. And from this restructuring proposal document, GEN was declared as a very purpose-driven network, anchored in the network approach and centered in the network steward circle. So for those of you who've been with GEN for a long time, you know of the GEN General Assembly and the Board of Trustees. So the Network Steward Circle is now here to simplify this organization structure, where the NSC is going to replace the General Assembly, and it's going to be the head and heart circle of the global Ecovillage movement, implementing local leadership to fulfill our vision of a strong Ecovillage network that empowers citizens and communities worldwide to design and implement a regenerative culture. So here we are, Kin, Talia, and myself, who are now the network steward circles for GENOA, the Oceania and Asia region for GEN. And next slide, please. So this is just to give you a very brief peek into the emerging structure. This is what was proposed by the restructuring team, and more details of this are available in the restructuring proposal document. But if you notice here at the heart of it, in the blue circle, is the Network Steward Circle. And the Network Steward Circle is now going to be a circle that will consist of representatives from each regional node, including the global node. The global node you see here in yellow. The global node will be a circle of members of GEN. And it'll also include NextGen and the GEN elders. So this structure is proposed, it's emerging, it's iterative, and it is going to be anchored depending on the people who really join these circles. So going back to the GEN NSC, the Network Steward Circle, the main core purposes, which Kin will take you through.
Thank you, Amina. So as you can see, and also from the background information that Amina have shared, somewhat the purposes of GEN Network Steward Circle, and here on the screen, the four main purposes. Firstly is the Network Steward Circle will be the group that steward GEN's shared purpose and principles across regions. And they will also be active in coordination and network weaving. And the third part is to strengthen GEN's communities of practice. And lastly is to serve as the General Assembly of GEN International. And here we would like to also share with you, here are the three members that you have met in this call, Talia, Amina, and myself, who are currently the network stewards from GENOA. And we have also put together our own mission as the network stewards from GENOA. So we want to steward the evolutionary purpose of GENOA as well, upholding the vision and tending to the heart's fire. That is the network, and anchor GENOA as a network with all the members, the communities and eco-villages. We want to also collaborate towards a robust, self-organizing and self-sustaining network together with you and with the members of the network. We want to facilitate the flow of information and education and to give voice to all members of the network so that everyone can step up and share your points of view and make suggestions, proposals. We also seek to create, incubate and mentor the new communities of practice. So the groups of people who are sharing common interests under the scheme of the Ecovillage movement. We want also to expand our network by enhancing the ambassadors. A lot of people in this call are GEN ambassadors, and then also the Friends of GENOA, which is the campaign, the small campaign under the Friends of GEN, to create more stewards of the region. And we also want to make our network and its projects a powerful force for regeneration. And in order to do this, we would need a lot of support and contribution from all the members of the network. So that's what we have set up for as the mission when we formed this network stewards for GENOA. And now I would like to invite Talea to share her experience, because Talea has been involved with both GEN and GENOA for a long time, and she was in the General Assembly of GEN International before. So she would be able to share with you more in-depth the experience then and now with the new Network Steward Circle. So Talea, are you here?
Yes, I am. Can you see me? Let me just check.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
Kia ora koutou. As one of the council members for GENOA, I guess one of the biggest aspects for me, if I am looking to provide you comparisons to back then and now, is that we actually had a very small team to work with and work from in order to implement the initiatives and the dreams and aspirations of GENOA as a whole. As a General Assembly member and a council member, what I did find in my experience from 2018 to, very much to 2020 was that we had already formed a core team that was able to at least uphold what we call the mana, or the essence of what GEN and GENOA was all about. So one of the key areas that we were wanting to establish during that time throughout Oceania and Asia was a strong connection with our eco-villages in that region. And of course, that's a huge region to start off with. So it was actually a very challenging time. Now, what I see in terms of what has changed, from the restructure, is that as a General Assembly member and as a council member from 2018 to 2020, we are actually stretching out our arms now to our bigger, wider circles, and inviting a lot more of our contributors and participants to contribute, moving forward into the regenerative models that we find ourselves in, into the regenerative communities that we are either hoping to achieve, are achieving, or are continuing to achieve. So as a council member, the biggest difference that I see moving forward into NSC is that we don't have a lot of layers of decision-making processes that we had back in 2018. And I don't want to get into the detail of those decision-making circles, but know this, from my point of view, we've actually streamlined what that decision-making process looks like. And based on these types of hui or meetings that we're having right now, it is your voice that can be heard and can be directed straight into the circle of the NSC in order for us to direct, strategically implement and action a lot more quicker than what the machinery was when I first joined back in 2018. There are some wonderful gems, I must say, that I would like to hold on to in terms of the other pearls of wisdom that we were able to tap into, but they are in this other bigger, wider restructure that we find ourselves in. And the pearls of wisdom that I'd like to tap into and to make you aware of are our elders. So not only do our elders like Robina and others, throughout our, Gen and Genoa circle, they've been through many different changes and, and this restructure too, by the way, that they present their historical account of what has worked and predominantly, maybe what hasn't and what can we enhance upon when we are adapting our structures and our way of working with each other moving forward. So I bring this as, I bring my experience as it's not to compare apples with apples because we are in a different era right now. But what I do bring from that era in 2018, 19, 20, and into the era of 2021, where we find ourselves in a restructured mode, I bring hope and I bring the fact that we are also looking to stretch out our arms to ask others to come and be with us on this journey. And the journey is about, connecting with our regions, Oceania and Asia. Our journey is also about, mapping what those skills and talents look like. Our journey is about, hearing the voices of our different regions. Our journey is also about equality, Indigenous wisdom, just as much as it is wisdom from our people that have been working alongside Gen and Genoa for a period of time. So, we find ourselves interconnecting a lot of these dimensions into, what we find ourselves in here today. So I'm excited to see where this will lead us. We open our arms and our hearts to you all. We would like to, in our terms and my Indigenous teachings, it's about ata whakarongo. It's about taking a breath and listening to what you have to say, but it's also about noho puku. So noho puku is actually like reflection, going into what, our wisdom, not only in the spirit, but our wisdom tellers are telling us at this time before we move forward in solidarity. So, this is what I bring. I bring, a small portion of that historical account, I bring a big portion of optimism, love, and wisdom from what we have, been through in these last, few years, into what we're about to enter into the future. And I stand holding space for this time. Kia ora koutou. Thank you.
Thank you, Thalia. Thank you so much. As you were speaking, I was getting this vision, like in the past, I think as a region, we've been operating as trees, and now we need to become this forest of a deeply connected mycelium network. And the NSC is, I think, going to give us that web of life to do that very, very quickly. Just to also inform everybody that for those who don't know, that Kosha Jorbert, who was our executive director, also left GEN in 2020. Trudy, who was also part of GENOA and the director of networking for GEN International, has also left GEN International. So now I think GEN International is also at that stage where they have informed us, especially Gaia Trust, that they're going to discontinue giving us funding from 2022. So a big part of the restructuring was also to create a structure, a self-organizing, self-sustaining, self-funding, self-reliant structure where regions grow into power of themselves. So it's like, for say, all these 20, 25 years, we had the parents of Gaia Trust, and now the kids as regions have grown up, and now they need to go into the world and create their own dreams and their projects and make their own money, and then support each other globally as one big family. So, thank you. So we could also now just take maybe 2 or 3 minutes to invite any comments, any reflections, any clarifications before we go into breakout rooms where we will continue to get to know each other, share about our communities, and also reflect on some collective questions as a network. So any reflections, comments, clarifications before we go into, it's going to be 3 breakout rooms. 6 people each, and we will be there from the GENOA part, one in each group to support the sharing and the inquiry. So if you have anything, please feel free to raise your hand.
So
Yeah,
hi, this is Brit. So I just wanted to check if the new assessment which has been released right now, I found that very interesting. The Ecovillage assessment part 1 and part 2, if that's going to be discussed at any point, because I thought that's a really interesting aspect on how GEN is going to emerge in the future.
I can reply to this point. Thank you for your question, Brie. So the Ecovillage impact assessment has just been complete, and now it's open for all communities to take and to test. So we are introducing this in our upcoming GENOA newsletter this month. So this is now in the trying phase. So if you have, if you try it, and if you have any comments, any suggestion for the Ecovillage impact assessment, please feel free to share with GENOA. But also, I think for the NSC, the GENOA Network Stewards group, we will hold the sharing like this with the network. We aim to do it every month. So maybe we will invite the communities, the ecovillages to try it first, and then we'll regroup on the next occasion, and then we can share a little bit deeper into the Ecovillage impact assessment.
Okay.
Hope that answers you, and thank you for your question. Is there any other questions from or clarification points? So looks like we are ready for a bit more sharing peer-to-peer. Amina, back to you.
Yes, thank you, Kin. So I think our breakout rooms are ready. And we have a set of questions which we can share on the chat here. And we also have it on a slide. And so essentially, we're going to be in these little rooms, cozy rooms, where we're going to explore our interactions from these 4 questions. You can read through these and see what resonates and what you would like to share about yourself or your work, your community, but weaving in maybe an answer to one of these questions.
I share the question on the screen, yes, so everyone can.
Yes, yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kenny.
I think I'll just read those questions out.
Sure.
Just so that, you know, there is a voice to these questions. So the questions are as follows. What work is happening on the ground in your communities, in your eco-villages, or with projects that you are involved with? Are you able to share the highlights from the community work? What are the challenges or the needs that your community are facing? What are the resources that you are seeking? What do you know about GENOA? And what would you like to know more about GENOA? What support do you expect to have from GENOA? How do you want to contribute to GENOA? Would you like to get more involved? And if yes, how? And what do you perceive as the roles of the NSC? There's provision for asking, you know, other questions, of course, as well. But we thought we would start off by initiating these questions. They are pretty pertinent questions that we would ask of you. Thank you.
Yes, and also please just keep in mind that you don't have to answer all of these questions. So you can just find the one that you resonate with the most. And yeah, you can share it in the group. And within the group, we will have one member from GENOA to be the note taker. So we can share the notes, the sharing from all groups to the rest of the circle afterwards. I stop share screen and then we'll input the question in the chat one more time. I know that the time is super short, but hopefully it still somehow give enough space for you to share from your part. Yeah, Amina, Talea, over to you.
Kia ora koutou. I'd like to start. Yes, that time was very short. However, what I did gauge from, you know, a couple of our speakers today was, you know, we are actually facing quite a myriad of issues in terms of, you know, transfer of knowledge. You know, how do we go about doing that? How do we actually map out the skills and the talents, you know, within our global network or our global whānau, I would like to call it, in which we find ourselves, in terms of, you know, tapping into the resource, which is ourselves, who hold some of the skills that we're looking for right here, right now. And also providing, you know, models of not change, but, you know, models that have worked, and the action research alongside that we can, you know, provide so that, you know, some of our other eco-villages, some of our other projects, some of our other whānau within our GENOA circles don't actually have to reinvent the wheel. We've actually been there and done that in terms of the mahi or the work that has been done, and we can provide that knowledge out there so that we are streamlining some of our goals and, you know, sense of achievement that we can complete a lot sooner rather than later, knowing full well that we are all walking down those same tracks of regenerating our communities, actually building eco-villages, incorporating Indigenous wisdom, looking at what that looks like in our context, whether it be urban, rural, traditional, tribal. What does that look like, you know, in that sense? So, you know, just from two speakers, only having a very small window in which to, you know, ask for help and assistance in what they're going through at this point in time has, you know, provided a lot of insight for me to feed into where GENOA can provide support, advocacy, knowledge, skills, and, you know, as I say, standing in solidarity. Kia ora koutou. Thank you.
Thank you, Talia. I would invite Amina as well to maybe quickly recap the sharing in your group.
Yes, thank you, Kin. So I think the red thread and the emerging theme in our group was really around moving from donor dependency into full self-financial sustainability. And if we could create a community of practice around this and, you know, create a very compelling model where we can bring in investments, not just from private people, but also from governments. The Pathway here has been working with governments in India, and I think that's a big area we can step into, is creating MOUs to collaborate with more governments and creating national networks that give us more stability together as a group. And one very interesting, I think, universal theme that came up was also about zoning, shared by Zola, and that's very, very alive and current right now from where she is, especially in New Zealand. And that's also in India. You know, Bridge and I have been thinking about how do we get governments to really look at eco-villages as these places of regeneration, and how can we create some sort of new zoning, new certification where it's not agricultural land, it's not plantation land, it's not urban, it's not rural, but it's really this climate care zone for regenerative living. So I think at the end of our conversation, we said, so we have another community of practice where we can work together to figure out how we can create an Oceania and Asia zoning movement, right? Really showcase eco-villages, speak about them, get governments involved in one platform simultaneously to change the status, which will really bring in this, open this floodgate of making it easy for more eco-villages to establish. And then finally, I think it was really, Karen ended with reminding us that, yeah, we have to become one compelling force. And for me, that vision was that all of us here today, 2021 of us, should become a virtual eco-village, right? So for me, it's not GENOA as a network supporting organization, but it is the 21 of us create a virtual eco-village, and then we completely transform the landscape of eco-villaging in Asia and Oceania, and we become exemplars for other regions of our global collaborators. So to you, Kin.
Thank you, Amina. And in our group, there was also a lot of rich sharing from Robina about the movement in New Zealand, and also a great opportunity now for communities to come together and to incubate new eco-village, and maybe GENOA notes in New Zealand as well. And Hiroko also has been sharing about what Gen Japan has been doing, and they are doing a lot of activities focused on education and especially bringing youth in the movement, which is great. And then followed by that, there was the sharing from Rick about the Ecovillage impact assessment tool, and he has tried it and has a lot of beautiful insights and suggestions, especially on how Gen and GENOA can support the communities and eco-villages to do the impact assessment better, and also to take the result from it and facilitate learning between eco-villages coming from the results of the assessment tool. And then Wendy also step in and share about how she thinks this is a beautiful time to facilitate more sharing, not only the technical parts of things, but also experience, the social, the cultural parts of community living as well. So it has been a very rich discussion in our group. And I would invite everyone to maybe after the call, if you have time, to look at the notes that we have taken in all of the rooms to understand more what has been discussed. And we are at the hour, at the time that we need to depart and say goodbye. But I am really, really inspired by the discussion that we have today and by the presence of you all. I would love to get the chance to see you more, maybe in our upcoming call next month. And please feel free to reach out to us also by emails, online. Just before we end, I would love to share with you that the impact, the Ecovillage Impact Assessment Tool will be featured in our next newsletter coming today. We'll send it to the network today. And if you're not in the list of receiving the newsletter, you can see that in the chat. DJ also shared the link to the meeting notes, the assessment link, and also the newsletter. Also in this newsletter, a little bit of spoiler that we have a beautiful poem from Debbie, who was here in the call before. And another big announcement is that we have our website of GENOA that is ready for soft launch. So we are not open it to the search engine yet. So we are keeping it a soft launch, and we invite every members of the network to visit our website at genoaecovillage.org. And look through the website and explore, tell us any feedback, any recommendations you have. We'll also send an email about this, and we plan to have an online community party to officially launch this website at the end of June or beginning of July, and we'll be in touch for more information regarding this. And yeah, that's would be our final announcement of the day. Thank you so much, everyone, for your presence. Thank you, Amina, Lalea. Thanks, DJ and Luvian, for taking notes. Thank you, everyone, for your sharing, for your energy and your patience. Happy to connect with you. And please feel free to unmute and say goodbye or share any final words.
I'd actually like to invite, I'd like to invite our, one of our wisdom keepers from Jen and Genoa to have a little bit of a kōrero, if I may. I'm talking about our whaia, Robina Makuri. Kei a koutou te kōrero I tēnei pōne. So I'd just like to invite her to have something to say.
Lovely.
Thank you, Salia. I feel quite humbled to be asked to do this, but it's time to step up for whatever the call is, wherever it comes from, however loud or however really subtle it is, to actually step up and be all of us, take the leadership, be the change, and really ground your vision, ground. It's so, so important in these times to not just talk, not just think, not just be in your small, small space with others, but actually reach deeper, reach further, like that mycelium network, into each other's regions, each other's places of strength, and draw from that. And I feel that this sharing time together has been so rich, even though so brief. And I feel really honored to be living within this global region. And particularly I want to acknowledge, and I feel really moved right now to do this, the gentle nature of the people of Asia, the ability to listen, the ability to hold space, and acknowledge without heaps of words, and just simply to be role models. And our community meeting is just filling out right now, so it's pretty loud. So yeah, I'll just leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rubina. It's really touching to hear you say, vibrant with all your wisdom. And thank you, everyone. We hope to see you back soon. Yeah, with the new network Steward Circle, we are always open to hear from you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Vivian, thank you. Bye.